Yeah, got all the stuff for the beach. I'm putting it in the trunk. There has got to be a better way. Many of us have found ourselves in that kind of situation with your hands full, unable to get into the trunk. And it leaves room to ask, why was a power liftgate not included on the Model 3? It comes on the Model S, it comes on the Model X, but why not on the 3? I think with the 3 being a lower priced vehicle, they looked for any which way they could save money. And power liftgate was one of them. Now, a company by the name of Tesla Offer has created a power liftgate for the Model 3. Now, where did this company come from, you might ask? Well, actually, the same company, Tesla Offer, created a power liftgate module for the Model S before the Model S even had a power liftgate. It even created a foot sensor for the Model X. So as you can see, they've been doing this for some time, and so I was super excited when they created the power liftgate for the Model 3, wanted to get my hands on it and check it out and share it with you guys. I know some of you guys have been missing out on some of the shirts, and so today I wanted to feature this. This is from a company by the name of Testletter. Testletter makes a weekly newsletter delivered straight to your mailbox, all on Tesla news for the week. So if you don't want to go hunting through YouTube and podcasts and various other things, and you want your news delivered to you once a week in a clean, formatted way, check out Testletter. They actually made a line of shirts with just very simple, clean, cool phrases, and so this is one of them. By the way, the material is really nice. So check them out. I'll put a link to them down below, but that's the gear I'm wearing today. Now, I do want to caveat that this video is going to be split up into two parts. Part one, showing you how this works and my thoughts on it, and part two, kind of walking through the installation. Not really showing you step by step how to install it, but just kind of walking you through what's involved. As it is a little bit of an involved installation, you can pay for someone to do it for you, or you can choose to take it on yourself. I myself have zero experience and chose the latter, and I'm very proud of myself for doing it, but it is doable. It's not that it's hard, it's just that it takes a significant amount of time. I would average it about a day. So the first question, how does it work? Well, it works quite simply. It automatically raises and lowers your trunk, like this. So as you come over to your trunk, you're going to press the button like you normally would, press it once, you'll hear a beep, the trunk auto opens. And the same way that it auto opens, it also auto closes. So there's a button that comes with the power liftgate. I put mine right up here. You can choose to put it wherever you want. Press that, and your trunk closes. So here you'll see the Tesla app, and I'm in the controls menu right here. And if I go ahead and click on trunk, it's going to confirm, say yes. You'll see the trunk opens, and then back in the app, we're just going to go ahead and click on the same trunk button again, hit yes, and it initiates a close of the trunk. Now, obviously, you can see the integration is seamless. There's no third-party apps that you need to use. Everything is built in and looks OEM. Let's take a look at how it works from inside the vehicle. Okay, so currently we're in the car. As you'll see, as your interface is exactly, obviously, the same. You'll see the trunk is closed right now. If I go ahead and hit open, you'll see that the trunk opened. Now, one limitation of the software, Tesla's software, is that you cannot close the trunk from the touch screen. And that's mainly because the trunk is not automated. So Tesla didn't build that into the touch screen. But obviously you can use the app, and you can use third-party stuff like the Stats app, which integrates into the Tesla app, and you can do things like, hey Siri, close the trunk. Now, there are several products out on the market that open your trunk for you and kind of raise it up all the way and at a significantly cheaper price, but those products don't close your trunk for you. And some of you may argue that, well, I don't really need to close it, and That's fine. But there's one thing about this product that is the real kicker, quite literally. Check this out. That's right, an optional foot sensor that opens your trunk completely hands-free. But not just that. Watch. It closes it as well. So remember that previous situation at the beginning of the video? Yeah, let's see how that could have been done differently. Yeah, all the stuff see what I mean? All right, so I know it looks amazing, but you have questions. Completely understandable. One of the questions is, what about security, Raj? What happens if somebody just comes up and waves their foot underneath? Can they open your trunk? Well, remember, this is tapped into the way the car operates. So without your phone nearby, it's not going to open the trunk as your doors wouldn't open. Just let me show you. Let me close the driver's side door. Driver's door is closed. I'm going to go over here and just turn off my Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is turned off. You can see that there. And just to kind of show you the car just locked, let me just show you there. So just to give you an example here, see, door's not opening. So let's swivel back and take a look at the trunk. When we look at the trunk here, there are two things you can do. Obviously, you can press the button, nothing happens. Let me show you down at the floor, show you my... Here it is. Nothing. So as you can see, it taps into the security of the car. You don't have to worry about your trunk just randomly opening. Question number two. Question number two is what about what about it closing on something? Does it protect it? Does it secure it? Does it completely squash what's there? Let's take a look. Okay, another completely valid question is what happens if, something's in there? Let's go ahead and open the trunk and we'll take a look at that. I'm gonna just use my arm for testing purposes. Let's go ahead and close that. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just put my hand in there and see what happens as a fist. So, didn't put much pressure on my hand at all. Obviously, I can pull it right out. You heard it beep twice, indicating that something was obstructing, and that's it. No damage or anything to my hand. It's not squished. Kid's hand maybe might be a little different story, but I'd love to see this retract back up, and I think that could be done via software update. Okay, another question that I was asked is, can Tesla break this, right? You have it all installed. Could they flip a switch or update something that could cause this to break? Well, think about this. They've made the ones for the Model S and X, and those have been out for a while now, and they still work perfectly fine. Number two, there is a little computer that they give you that goes inside on the side of the trunk, and that can be updated via micro SD card. So anything that goes wrong, they can update that, but it's highly unlikely as it's tapped into the CAN bus that's in the front of the car, which is the safety wiring, which basically tell it like, hey, you only open if the car is in park and not in drive and so forth. So a lot of that stuff is very unlikely, but if it does, software updatable. Now, last and most importantly is, how much does this cost? Well, it's $600 for the power liftgate. It's $650 including the foot sensor. Now, I would highly recommend getting the foot sensor because, I mean, for 50 bucks more, you might as well get it. That really sets it apart from anything out on the market and truly has been a blessing for when my hands are full. Now, for my viewers, I have managed to get you guys a discount. So go to TeslaOffer.com if you're looking to purchase this. Put in the code TESLARAJ for 5% off on your purchase. That should give you about $35 or so off. Almost makes the foot sensor free. So at that point, you might as well just put it in. And yeah, let me know what you think about this. If you want to understand more about the installation, keep it locked here. If not, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Remember to subscribe and like this video, and yeah, stay tuned to know more about the effort involved in installation. Otherwise, get any car stereo person who knows how to install car stereos and electronics and has preferably worked on Teslas, and they can install this pretty easy. You're mainly paying for labor. All right, guys. See you guys next time. All right, guys, well, if you're still tuned in, it's because you're really interested in what it took to install this. So I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna try to be as quick as possible without running my mouth too long. We're not gonna give you a tutorial on how to install it, but I'm just gonna kind of guide you through the process of what I went through and what's involved on installing this product in your car, should you choose to do it yourself. And so a little bit about me. Now, I have built computers way back when. I kind of know Ethernet cables and so forth, know how to wire up a router, but I've never, ever done electrical in a car or installed a car stereo, nor have I ever taken apart a car. So just to kind of show you on the level of professionalism where I come from, so what I feel this job should take about maybe a day. For me, it took me 3 days, not working continuously. Obviously, it was a long weekend. There were things going on. I've got a family, and so anytime I had some time, I would get involved there. And of course, being a noob, I made some mistakes or didn't have my tools organized. Those of you who are familiar with this will have your tools and stuff in a good place and can easily access them. So it should be a much easier install for you. So let's talk about some of the stuff that you may need. Now, one of the reasons why I was unable to really give you a step-by-step installation is installing and working a camera is extremely hard. So this is just to kind of give you an understanding. So I would highly recommend a full socket set. I can't remember all the ones that you're going to need, but you're definitely going to need the 8mm, the 10mm sockets, as well as I would recommend 2 different sizes of socket wrenches, you know, kind of a bigger one, as well as a smaller one for the nooks and crannies. There are a couple of security screws. They're these torque screws. They kind of look like this little star shape. And I don't remember the exact numbers that you'll need, but I would recommend one of those sets. And these just go right onto your socket wrench. So very handy to have in this situation and in kind of any other situations with cars and computers and so forth. Obviously, computers are a lot smaller, but always good to have the security screws. The other thing is a trim removal set. That's these plastic pieces. They allow you to pry off the plastic trim in the car. Believe it or not, a lot of the cars just snap together pieces. So it sounds like it's breaking, but it's not. They just snap on and off, and so these allow you to kind of get in, pull it apart without damaging them. I bought this set off of Amazon. I'll put a link down below. The brand is Traslado, and they give a whole set, like there's multiple pieces. Yeah, I would recommend that as well. And then the last piece is this. This is a wire fisher. So what you do is when you need to fish wire through walls, you attach it to this and you can kind of pull it up and guide it through. This is needed on one of the most difficult steps and actually the most annoying step. Outside of that, everything was easy. It just took time to do. And so we're gonna walk through all of that right now. Let's take a look. Okay, so when we look at the way the installation happens is everything is going to be behind this wall over here. And there are 2 main wires, and they're actually together. So you need to make sure that you bring both of them. They're going to go from here all the way up to your upper lid. And the way that that's going to happen is if you pull this back, you're going to see here, I haven't really organized all of my stuff. It's all kind of jumbled in here. Here's the main computer, and the wires are all jumbled. That's a challenge for the very end, is cleaning up the wires and just bundling them together and securing the unit to the wall, and I'm probably going to secure it to the side of the subwoofer. But the main wire, that's going to go up and over, and this is the most difficult process. That wire is going to be fished. What you're going to do is you're going to actually stick it up through here, And on the side of your trunk is this rubber cable. This rubber cable has some zip ties. Feel free to open these zip ties. When you open these zip ties here, you can actually put them back when you're done. So just careful sticking a screwdriver in there to open the zip ties, just to open this and not make sure that this rubber is cinched too much, because you're going to be fishing 2 lines up there. So you're going to remove it from up here, right? And then you're going to guide it up and out through here. Now what I recommend is taking the fishing line, you know, the green wire, and that green wire you're going to push in through the top, and pushing it down is a lot easier, and get it out from the bottom. And so what you'll have is a green up here and a green down here. It's just going through here because that's the hardest part. Getting it through the metal and through the holes is a little bit easier. And so use your black electrical tape to stick those 2 wires to that so that you can pull it up through here. Where the black electrical tape is, you're going to want to put some dishwashing detergent on there so that it just glides a little bit easier, because this rubber is really thick and really nasty, and it gets your hands all gross, and that's what makes it very difficult. Now, there are 2 white caps that go on the ends of those cables that go up here. Do not put those white caps on. I did, and getting that white cap through this was damn near impossible. I persevered on, and I got it through there. But do not do that. Make sure you grab both wires. One of those wires is going to attach to the top of the lid after you remove the trim here. And they come with these wire taps. It just basically allows you to choose the wire that you're tapping into, pinching down, and it automatically taps the power from that wire. The other wire, and this was the one that I forgot to route up there the first time, and I had to do it a second time, was the button. So let me show you the button. So the wires that we put up here are going to be accessing this main component power up here that basically tells it to unlatch and latch, and that's what allows it to be controlled through the app. But the second wire controls this button, so you have to make sure you put this on. And this is really going to be the only physical modification that you'll do to the car. They actually give you a drill bit. You drill right into this plastic trim piece when you have it removed, and allows you to place the button on there. But as you can see, it's nice, flush, and looks damn near OEM. Now, the other things to keep in mind is this latch. This latch is replaced. You actually do remove the latch that comes with your car, set it aside, and this is the latch that they include with you. This latch allows for the slow close. So when your trunk closes, it latches, but this latch actually pulls it in and secures it. And so that you'll have to put, but all the wiring for that just sits right behind this plastic. So when you have this plastic removed, everything will tuck nicely in there, and you go ahead and close this down. Now, let's move on to the struts that need to be changed as well. As you can see here, this is a newer, bigger, thicker, fatter strut, obviously for the power liftgate. Changing the struts, super easy. They basically pop out and pop back in. You may need a little flathead screwdriver to kind of get in there a little bit, but they pop right out. One key thing to remember, put a towel or something of sort right in here. You want to make sure that when you take that strut out, it doesn't hit your glass and chip it. That has happened. Rest in peace, Brian, and your chip on your glass when you found out the strut thing. But make sure that you do that so you don't damage your glass. But the strut installs very easily. The routing of the strut actually goes through the hole that the taillight power goes through. So the taillight will have to be removed. It's super easy. A lot of this seems intimidating, but it's easy. There's one screw here, there's 2 nuts behind the carpet right here, and unplug it, it comes right out. However, one thing to keep in mind, after you route the power, after you run this line, which is the only really wire that you get to see, that's the only little bit of wire that you ever see, and that's going into the taillight assembly hole and running alongside the car back to the computer. Okay, so the strut, right? The strut's power line goes through the taillight assembly into the hole that's behind the taillight. Remember, the taillight, super simple to remove. It's like 3 or 2 bolts. Yeah, super simple. Once the taillight is removed, at that time, you're going to want to install the foot sensor if you purchased it. Because if you don't do it then, you're going to have to remove the taillights again to remove the bumper, because the foot sensor goes in the bumper. To do that, you need to pull down the bumper. Now, the bumper doesn't need to be removed, but you basically are taking everything off for the bumper. Sounds crazy, but it's not. It's easy. just takes time. Now with the bumper, it's just the placement of where everything is at. So remember, behind the taillight, there is one nut on each side for the bumper. That is the hidden nut. Outside of that, let me show you where the other ones are. So down here in the wheel well, there's going to be 3 just easy remove pry tool little snap pins. They're at the bottom, one down here right behind the wheel, then another one on the inside, and then one more. So there's 3 of those snap pins to remove. And then underneath the bumper, going along the whole bottom, there's a bunch of bolts. I believe it's, let me check. 7 bolts. There's 2 on each side and then 3 along the back. You're gonna have to remove all of them. Now, once you remove all of that, the bumper could essentially drop, but luckily for me, I discovered that there was 1 bolt that was hidden. After you remove the push pins from behind the wheel, the back kind of carpeted type material, pull that back a little bit. As you go up to the top, there is one, I believe it's a torque screw that's up there. It's a security screw, clearly, and there's one on each side. Remove that, and then your bumper just pulls apart and drops. All you really need to do is drop your bumper just a little bit so that you can access down there, stick the foot sensor down. The foot sensor works through the bottom, so there's nothing visible. It actually goes through the plastic. That's how it senses your foot, and super, super easy. Okay, at this point in time, you have now done the wiring from the lid to the computer. You've installed both struts, run the wires for them. You've installed the latch along the bottom of the trunk. You've also put in the foot sensor in the bumper and ran the wiring for that as well. All that's really left at this point is tapping into power and tapping into the CAN bus, which is in the driver's side footwell to power the unit. So let's talk about what that involves. Now, let's talk about first running the wire from the trunk. As you're in the trunk, it's fairly easy, but running the wire from the trunk to the front, let me show you what I did. Okay, so when looking at the trunk, what we're gonna do for the wiring is, it's all gonna be up here. So you're gonna have to remove this plastic trim piece, which is just comes right off. But once that's removed, it can actually be tucked behind all of this carpet that's up here. The carpet will pull away. The key is when you get all the way back here. When you get all the way in the back, you're now running out of carpet to hide it behind. Up here, there's like a little crevice. Even without you pulling apart the carpet, you can reach in there and I can feel the cables that I have ran. And so that's how nothing shows. When you get all the way to the back near the seat, I'm gonna show you how to run it such that it's still hidden. Okay, so to run the wiring from the trunk into the rear seat, what I wanna highlight is this piece right here. This piece is like just basically the side. It's not the actual seat, because the reason why you don't wanna use the seat is if you use the seat, when you drop down the seat, you're gonna see the wire. So we wanna run it through this side piece. And this side piece right here, believe it or not, it's this piece right here, okay? This is hard doing with one hand. But this side piece just actually pulls right off. And so when you pull that off, you'll be able to run the wiring right through that. And as you run the wiring through this side piece here, it will then connect right to the plastic trim. So I'm talking about this side piece here. This is the side piece that you're gonna remove. It literally pulls right off. And after you pull that off, the wiring is gonna be ran right there. And then it tucks underneath the plastic trim, okay? The plastic trim, and then the plastic trim, you just tuck it in all the way going to the front of the driver's side. So just to kind of give you an idea here, this is how it's looking. And let's go over to the driver's seat and I'll show you more. So here we are on the driver's seat. Remember, it's going underneath this trim. Now, where this trim breaks right there, this whole piece actually comes up. But before removing that piece, you're going to need to remove this side trim piece here. Pops right off. The panel to the left of it, and that panel there. Behind that panel there is one push pin trim removal piece. You pop that out, and this entire piece here removes. And that allows you to hide the wiring. And behind that, next to the dead pedal, is where you're gonna find the wires that you need to tap into. And that's where you're tapping into power and the CAN bus wires, and it's also where you're going to route the front button wire should you use it. Whether you use it or not, route it there so that it's already done and you don't have to do any more. Now, there is one thing I do want to call out, and it's specifically with that front area. When you run the wires up there, one of the wires that you're going to be running, actually, two of the wires that you're going to be running are the CAN bus wires. One of the wires is power. And power, if you watch Tesla Offers videos, they tell you to run the power straight to the battery, and they tell you to do it on the passenger side of the car. You can do that, and I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons of it. I decided to run it on the driver's side because I was already running wire on there, and I wanted to minimize the amount of time as I had already spent a lot of time installing this. What I did was I tapped a wire in that driver's side area, and it's a blue, specifically a blue wire. There's a bunch of YouTube videos on a 12-volt wire on there that you can tap. Let me tell you the pros and cons about the both of them. The 12-volt wire that I tapped powers the center console USB ports, and that's the 12-volt that's there. But keep in mind that that's only powered when Sentry mode is active. Remember, when your car goes to sleep, it tries to consume as minimal energy as possible. So if Sentry is not activated, the power lift gate, the foot sensor, will not work. And to initiate the power lift gate, it does take a couple clicks for it to wake up and initialize. It's kind of the same way when you press a door handle to wake the car up and then you press the charging port. The same concept here. Now, if you don't want to run into that issue, you tap it in directly to the battery in the frunk. And those wiring instructions you can find on Tesla Offer. For me, it was okay because at home and at work, those are my favorited places based on the geolocation of Sentry mode. I was okay with it not working. So in the morning when I come to my car, I usually don't have my hands full, so I don't care that it doesn't work at that time. But when I'm at the grocery store, that's not a favorited location. Sentry mode is by default on, and so when I come back and my hands are full, everything works because Sentry mode is on, thus powering this unit. I've had no other problems with it. I've been very impressed with the performance on this thing, and like I said, I am not a professional installer, but I was able to do this, and so I think you should be able to as well. So if you feel so inclined and so confident to do this and take it on, please do. It is a fun project and you'll really get to know your car. If you have any questions on this or any questions about the product or installation, hit me up in the comments or shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. Outside of that, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully that helped you understand how much work is involved on installing this. Like I said, if you're good, take you about a day. If you're not, maybe a couple days, but it's not hard. It just takes time. All right, guys, thank you so much. And remember to fuel on electricity. See you guys next time.